Hey everybody, Sean Chandler here. I thought this Sunday afternoon I would just kind of launch up live on here and answer some questions. I haven't done just a nice live AMA in a couple of weeks now, so seemed like a nice time to give one a shot. I'm also experimenting with some new technology since I have a second camera, so I can now do fun stuff like this where I look the other way and you can see a different perspective and realize that as I'm filming, I have a Darth Vader over my shoulder all the time, as well as the creepy Teddy Ruxpin as well. So if you just want to start throwing questions over there into the little chat section thing, I'll try and grab some of those and start answering some of your questions, and hopefully we can have a nice fun time. I'll do this for about 45 minutes is how long I can go for, and then over on my Patreon I have to do another live stream over there. So if you want to keep chatting, want to join us over on Patreon, you can do that as well. With that said, I'm going to head on over and see what sort of questions do we have over here. First, we've got Aiden, insert last name. Do you see a Wreck-It Ralph 3 happening? So I haven't looked into the box office information on Wreck-It Ralph 3 to have a good idea of exactly where Wreck-It Ralph 2, or excuse me, Wreck-It Ralph, I don't know exactly where it landed on the box office. It wasn't like a massive, just runaway hit. It wasn't as big of a hit as I thought it was going to be based on the numbers that I have seen. But it wasn't just in that category I would go, well, of course they're going to be looking to do a third one. So I don't know. I at the top of my head, my first instinct is to say I really don't know if they'll do a Wreck-It Ralph 3 based off of my perception of the box office for the second film. All right. So let's see, what questions do we have here in here? Oh, this is actually a really tricky when I have someone like to have my wife join me in on these things, and so when she's not here I have to try and read and talk at the same time. Scully Pool 18 says, what does Kirk Never Died mean? If you don't know what that means, that's my Twitter handle. That's my name that I use on a whole bunch of different things. Is Kirk Never Died. It's actually my YouTube name, my actual YouTube name for when I first started this channel, just so I could comment on other people's videos back in, I think, 2012. I went with Kirk Never Died. It's a reference to the movie Star Trek Generations. It's a Star Trek deal. So if you're not a Star Trek fan, it won't make any sense to you. But if you are a Star Trek fan, it's a direct reference to the movie Star Trek Generations, which, where that movie ends was an unbelievably stupid way to handle certain plot points. Thus, Kirk Never Died was born. Someone asked, can my wife appear on the channel? No, she doesn't want to. She'll help in the background, and she doesn't mind, running the chat board and stuff like that. She's just not someone that likes to be on camera. And this is true back when I did live stuff. It was the exact same thing. Actually, some people that sometimes watch these that know me in real life, they're like, this is exactly what it was like back in the old days. Sean's on stage saying obnoxious things, sometimes misbehaving. His wife's in the back taking questions, chiming in to correct ridiculous things that I say. But she's just not one that likes to be on stage and things like that. Zombie Slayer says, do you think Aquaman is an overrated movie? No, because it's not a movie that has, I don't think it's praised enough to be overrated. It's a movie that some people love it, some people hate it. Some people like it because they just think it's a lot of fun. And then some people are like, it's just too dumb. That rhymed. That was pretty cool. It made a lot of money. So do I think that it's overrated purely based off box office? Yeah, it's a little bit weird that the highest grossing DC movie of all time is Aquaman, but some of that's just inflation. Some of that's just, I don't think it's the one that sold the most tickets. But it's a fun movie. It plays well globally, because you can go watch it, whether you can fully understand the language. There's still beautiful visuals, but I don't think it's like overrated in the general sense, because it's not like its Rotten Tomato scores crazy high. It's not like the general public is hyping it as the greatest thing ever. Just, it's a fun movie. So a lot of people enjoy it as a fun movie. All right, let me see what question I can find in here next. Moves so fast. All right, here's a fun one. Sam Hangan, what's your favorite Harrison Ford movie? Sorry if I mispronounced your name on that one. Favorite Harrison Ford movie? I will take Indiana Jones and Star Wars out of the mix, because those aren't really Harrison Ford movies. Those are Indiana Jones movies and Star Wars movies. The the franchise overwhelms him. They are more popular than Harrison Ford in those senses because they're such great franchises. If you kept them in there, it would be some battle between Raiders of the Lost Ark and one of the Star Wars movies. I'd go The Fugitive. I'm going with The Fugitive. What's my favorite non-big franchise Harrison Ford movie? The Fugitive. It's a great movie. So if you're kind of one of my younger viewers, it's about 25 years old. It's a thriller, really well done. And he's accused of murder and murdering his wife. He says that there was a one-armed man that killed his wife. And so essentially he sort of by accident escapes from prison, becomes a fugitive, and he's being chased down by Tommy Lee Jones. Great movie. Highly recommend you check it out. And there's a sequel to it called U.S. Marshals that doesn't have Harrison Ford. It's about the person that's trying to track him down, played by Tommy Lee Jones. And in it is Robert Downey Jr., a young, 28-year-old Robert Downey Jr. is in the second one, as well as Wesley Snipes. So the first movie's great, The Fugitive. The second one is not quite as great, but still kind of enjoyable. And especially it's interesting just because you have Robert Downey Jr. in there. All right, we got some questions here. I'll fire some of these off quick. I don't have much to say about them. Max Hoffington, I couldn't catch your name quick enough, asked, what's my take on the Paddington franchise? I don't have a strong take on the Paddington franchise. I think I've seen both movies, but I haven't paid enough attention to them to have thoughts on them. Aim Throner says, do you think there can be a Commuter 2? Commuter 2 is already on that plane nonstop 2. It's already basically a remake of that film. So no, I don't think we're going to get a Commuter 2 at all. It's not a movie that lends itself to it. We got a couple super chats in here real quick. Andrew Paxton, can you pitch and cast your Back to the Future reboot? I can't fully cast my concept for a Back to the Future reboot, but I can tell you the quick version of what I can say. So a lot of people hate the idea of a Back to the Future reboot, remake, because it's a classic. You're right. You can't recapture Christopher Lloyd and the cast of that film. You can't do it. And so they get nervous as soon as you say Back to the Future remake, reboot. Terrible idea. For me, I think the central idea of the film is very transferable throughout time. It's a story that lends itself to being retold every 20 or 30 years because the premise of the original film, a 1985 high schooler going back to 1955, is interesting in one way, but a high schooler from 2020 going back to 1990 is interesting in a totally different way because you're taking a modern in our current era, political correctness, technology, internet, YouTube, taking all the cell phones, smartphones in your pocket, the internet, all this stuff that is so definitive of right now, and modern day teenagers have only known that, and you take them back to just 1990 and all that's gone. That's an interesting concept, and that's what a Back to the Future remake, reboot could do. So that's why I'm interested in doing. What I don't want them to do is try and take the script of the first one and just redo that and have Marty McFly. I don't really know exactly what the characters would be. And if you think, I can't do a cast. I really don't have a cast because I'm not trying to be like, who's a modern day Christopher Lloyd? I'm not trying to do who's modern day Michael J. Fox. That's not what I want to do. I want to have a re-envisioning that takes the central concept about modern day high schooler going back in time. But you think if Lord and Miller take their creative energy, their modern sentiments, apply it to Back to the Future, 2020 high schooler goes back to 1990, that right there sounds like an interesting concept. Don't just make it this manufactured studio, cheap, safe version of it. Make it interesting. We had a second super chat in here. Jail Production says, have you seen the movie Local Hero? If not, watch. I don't even know what Local Hero is, unfortunately, so I have not seen that one. And so, unfortunately, I don't have any particular thoughts on that one, but thank you so much for the super chat. Okay, let me see what we got in here. Mr. Pugnas, what's your opinion on that Deadpool 3 was confirmed? Deadpool 3 is not confirmed. Someone could put an article in there, but Deadpool 3 is not a locked-in dead deal at all. And anyone saying it's locked in, I'm pretty sure is saying ridiculous things as the Disney-Fox merger isn't even complete, so the idea that they would be confirming a third movie for a studio that we don't even know how it works yet, that there's all sorts of reasons that can't happen, that they can't confirm things like a Deadpool 3 at this moment in time. There might be statements, oh yeah, we're talking about, we have conversations happening, but it's certainly not a locked-in thing. So if anyone says that it is, that is not correct. But what are my thoughts on a third one? I just have to know what they're going to do with the all. I have to know what they're doing with this merger, how it's all tying together for me to even have thoughts on what some of this stuff should look like. Rogue 7, I think that's your name. What are your thoughts on Suicide Squad 2? Well, I'll try and tell you that while I correct this. I didn't pay attention before I put these in here. It's driving me crazy that they're unbalanced. I'm actually kind of OCD about certain things. I don't know if it's obvious on my channel, but it ties into certain moments. What do I think about Suicide Squad 2? I think getting James Gunn to do Suicide Squad 2 is a great fit. It's I think we're talking about getting the guy that did Warrior to do it. That doesn't seem like a good fit to me. There was talk about Mel Gibson. Doesn't seem like a good fit. I hear James Gunn, and my first reaction is, yeah, that sounds perfect. That makes so much sense. For two reasons. James Gunn has become an A-list director that we love because he made a movie about a ragtag group of people of questionable ethics. So he has done the ensemble thing. That's what Guardians of the Galaxy is. So he has the experience doing that, and it makes sense. And it's not just he's done a team-up movie, it's a team-up of morally corrupt people. Second thing that makes it a good fit is that even the reason that James Gunn is not doing Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 is because of his dark, sick, twisted sense of humor. Like, he is not... That's him. That's who he is. He's a guy that's kind of dark and rough around the edges. He did Trauma stuff back in the 90s. If you don't know what Trauma is, it's a very... like crass, lowbrow studio, and that's his history, that's his background. So the idea that he would take and do the DC villains movie as they're the protagonists just makes a lot of sense. It's a good fit for me. So I think the idea of him taking over is a great fit for me. That would be my take on it. That I can get excited about the idea of James Gunn doing a film like that. All right, next question on here. Hi. Just want to have fun with myself. If you want to know what's going on back over here, I have a whiteboard. If you can pay attention close enough, you can see what videos I have planned. They are written on here for the month. These are my big ones for the month. And this is all of next week right here. And then creepy Teddy Ruxpin over my shoulders. All right, let me see what do we got. Let me see if I can catch some of these ones. D Channel says, would you make a spoiler-filled review of Lego 2? I thought you already said that I spoiled it in my spoiler-free review, so I remember your comment. But no, I don't think I'm going to do a spoiler review of it. It just didn't work out. I was thinking about it for today, and then if I had recorded it yesterday, I shot 4 videos and an interview, and my mic was bad. So even if I had shot a spoiler-filled review for Lego Movie 2, it would have been no good. I wouldn't have been able to use the footage, which would have been heartbreaking. But I had 3 or 4 videos I shot yesterday that the footage is no good. So that's one of the reasons that I will not be doing a Lego 2 spoiler review. But I've got at least 2 new movie reviews this week, 2 rankings this week. So it should be a fun week for us. Peyton Rott says, what's your favorite video game of all time? Back in the 90s, I was huge into Warcraft 2. Like, of the Blizzard games, Warcraft 2 is always kind of my sweet spot. Some people World of Warcraft, some people StarCraft. No, me, it was always StarCraft 2, or Warcraft 2. Then 10 years after that, Call of Duty was massive. Call of Duty Modern Warfare, that one was game-changing for me. And then in the last 5 years, Arkham City was pretty amazing. And then last year, Spider-Man is a phenomenal game. People are asking me to review How to Train Your Dragon 3. That will be about a week from now. I've already seen it. I actually saw it a week ago. I just don't want to put my review out in limbo. I want it to be a little bit closer to when it's released in the US. The way they did the release schedule globally was kind of weird because it came out a month ago internationally, and then it doesn't come out for 2 more weeks in the US. So I want to put it out like about 4 days before it comes out in the US is when. So I think that Monday right before it comes out is when I'm gonna do that one. So that's my thoughts on that one. J1L with a super chat. Thank you so much. Your opinions on the Avatar sequels. Okay, my opinion on the Avatar sequels. I have strong opinions on the Avatar sequels. I think James Cameron is one of the wasted great directors of all time. James Cameron, when it comes to my taste in movies, compared to the number of films he's made, has a very disproportionately high percentage of films that I think are some of the best of all time. When you're talking about Terminator, Aliens, Terminator 2, True Lies, and we're not even talking about the 2 that are in the $1 billion club, the 2 that are the top 2 of all time. This guy's like this crazy extreme talent, and Avatar stole him from us. He's made one movie. Like, if you're in your teens, if you're a teenager, which is a good percentage of my fan base, if you're 20 years old and younger, James Cameron has put out one movie in your lifetime, Avatar. The talent behind Terminator 2, Avatar, Titanic, Aliens. He's put out one movie in your lifetime. And that is heartbreaking to me, because I don't think that Avatar is... I think that of his big mainstream films, because he did Piranha 2 before he did Terminator, of his mainstream films, I think that Avatar is his weakest film. Special effects, fantastic. Not a bad film. That's not what I'm saying. Because I think that James Cameron is this upper echelon. He has an incredible batting average when it comes to directing movies. But of his incredible track record of directing movies, the lowest of the bunch is Avatar for me. I didn't watch Avatar and think, I can't wait to get 4 more sequels to this. I can't wait for James Cameron to stop making movies for 12 years so he can write the script for 4 more Avatar movies. Like, that is heartbreaking to me, that's what ended up happening. And I kind of mean that. Like, every time I think about it, I want to why did this happen to us? Like, and people are like, yeah, but he was inventing technology and but he could be doing so many things. There's so many movies he could be writing and directing, and instead, just Avatar movies. So I don't know what to make of them. They feel too late to me. But you can't write off James Cameron, because this is the guy that when you talk about his sequels, Aliens is a sequel. One of my favorite movies. T2 is a sequel. One of my favorite movies. And then his last 2 movies are the 2 biggest grosses of all time. So you can't ever write off James Cameron. But I don't get where he's coming from on some of this stuff. It scares me. Joshua Levering says, what is your favorite Robin Hood? Prince of Thieves. Prince of Thieves. That's the one that came out when I was about 10 years old. And so when a big budget version of high energy, modernized version of Robin Hood comes out, and it's well received. It was very well received at the time. And, in history, people make fun of Kevin Costner's accent and things like that. But also Alan Rickman is the villain, and you got Morgan Freeman in there. That's what the first movie I ever saw Morgan Freeman in. And so that's the one for me that easily. It's got a great score from Michael Kamen, and then the song from Brian Adams. Just a bunch of great things about it. So that's that one for me easily. With no question, no runner-up. It's the Kevin Costner one, Prince of Thieves. I'll do another one of these, and then I'm going to head on over to, we had some super chats show up. The Two Kittens Entertainment Inc. says, do you like Sean grew up with jokes? So if you don't know what this is referring to, is that I guess over on Chris Stuckman's channel, one of the ongoing jokes is that he always says, I grew up with, and that's like starting to feed over into my channel. So every time I post a video, someone makes this comment. And so it took me a while to pick up on it. I was like, I don't know what the joke is. And someone had to explain it to me. So, yeah, I appreciate that people think about me enough to comment on all my videos. I appreciate that you guys are watching. I appreciate that people are giving super chats. I appreciate any interactions with any of my content. It's amazing to me that you guys care what I have to say. And so I appreciate all of it. That would be my answer on that one. All right, we got some super chats. Let's try and get through these. Bryce Daly, thank you so much for that. MCU Phase 2/3 hero you would have wanted in Phase 3, or MCU Phase 2 or 3 hero you would have wanted it in Phase 1. So what hero that was introduced in the second phases do I think could have been nice to put in the first phase? obvious, the answer for me that I think seems a little bit obvious to me would be Ant-Man, because he's not like a big game changer that changes up the whole universe a little bit. He's just a fun character to throw into the mix. But so the Avengers, as we know it, this set of movies kind of goes back to the comic book, The Ultimates. And a lot of the little ways that they structured these films goes back to The Ultimates. Some of the plot lines in there, some of the structure of the way the universe is kind of played out. And then especially this version of Nick Fury, Samuel L. Jackson, comes from The Ultimates. In The Ultimates, Nick Fury is drawn to be Samuel L. Jackson, 10 years, 6 years or whatever before he showed up as Nick Fury in the movies. And in those ones, Ant-Man and the Wasp are an important part of it. And so even if you hear some of the interviews with Joss Whedon, he talks about how very waspy his first draft of the Avengers was. So that would be the one that would seem obvious to me, that wouldn't like change up the whole universe, because there's certain ones that if you said it kind of, if you do Doctor Strange, that's too big of a change to the whole universe. Ant-Man, though, you can make a little bit of change in the way the character is. Joe Productions with a super chat. Thank you so much. Top 3 Tarantino films: Pulp Fiction, Django. Pulp Fiction is like the dominant number one. That's the one that's definitely locked in as my number one. Then Django. I don't have an obvious third one, though, but those are the two that kind of stuck out. There's a whole bunch of them that are all kind of like, when I do my ranking this summer, it's going to be tricky for me to know which one goes where. Pulp Fiction is just one of those movies that kind of a game changer for a whole bunch of us in the way we watched movies, the way we appreciated movies, the way we saw storytelling, the way we wanted to tell stories. Just a very neat film in that regard. And then Django is the revenge slavery film, Western. Very cool. And I don't have an obvious third one after that. Okay. Oh, this is locking up on me. Okay, there it goes. Just gave me more questions. Sitjaka Jane. I'm so sorry that I mispronounced it. I'm sure I didn't say that right. Which hero do you think dies in Endgame, like the ultimate sacrifice? I think it's going to be Captain America, because it's poetically fulfilling. He's a soldier without a war anymore. And so he has a replacement. He has a couple of different people that can replace him. So there's several different things in place that make it so Captain America can die and it feels satisfying. It's sad, it's bittersweet, but it's satisfying while at the same time feeling right. We got a super chat from Sebastian Blad. Hopefully I pronounced that correctly. Thank you so much for the super chat. Most hyped horror movie of 2019. All right, my most hyped horror movies. Let's see what you think. We got, which ones were coming out? Child's Play, Pet Sematary, what was that? Annabelle 3. Those are the ones that immediately come to mind in the franchise realm. And then some other ones in there. Child's Play is probably the one I'm most interested in. There's a lot of controversy because Chucky's an AI now, and with Brad Dourif, and they're doing the TV show, and I wanted to see where Cold was going to go with all of it. But, it's been 30 years. A lot of technology's changed, and 30 years is a good amount of time to give it a second try. Get a second take at it. A different voice telling the story of a doll killing people that's got the Chucky personality and everything. So this trailer didn't exactly tell us what the personality, the tone of some of it's going to be, but it gave us a little bit to go off of. So I might have missed some because I don't have the list in front of me of what. Obviously, I've been talking, and so I'm trying to pull up while talking which movies are coming out this year and give you something articulate. But Child's Play is the one that I think off the top of my head that I'm most excited for. Mr. Mathis, what is your favorite pop figure? So the reason that these pop figures are behind me is because later today I'm going to shoot a video about my full collection of pop figures that'll be out tomorrow. So tomorrow I will answer your question as to which one is my favorite, or which I'll tell kind of, I don't have enough of them I have enough of them. I have a small enough number of them that I can kind of actually talk about each of them when I show them to you, because they're all right here. But that video will drop tomorrow morning, and so I can answer that question. Alfredo Rodriguez, are you looking forward to Justice League 2? There's not a Justice League 2 happening. I'm sure it'll happen eventually, but there's not one that's in the works that's like coming out in any sort of near future, because they're franchises, and like, I don't know how anyone could be excited for Justice League 2 because I don't know even what it is. Because I don't know what Batman's in it. I don't know who the Superman's going to be. And they keep talking about revamping their whole thing. But they've stated after Aquaman, like, their focus now is just getting single movies. They're not trying to do the big cinematic universe stuff that they had been trying to do. They're trying to do single movies. So Justice League 2 is not a thing that's like right around the corner to be excited about. And given how long it's taken them to do Man of Steel 2, I would not expect Justice League 2 for a very, very long time. J. Scott for real with the super chat. Thank you so much. Best Batman villain other than the Joker. I like Ra's al Ghul as a character. Because he's kind of the opposite of the Joker. The Joker's a chaos, has no real mission. He's not trying to accomplish something. It's just kind of insanity, chaos brought upon a city. Whereas Ra's al Ghul is a true believer. He believes in his cause. He thinks he's doing right. He is trying to accomplish something. And adding to that, he respects Batman. In the animated series and the comics, he calls him the detective as a sign of reverence. Like, no, you truly are a great warrior and you're the great detective. You are brilliant. And that's an interesting dynamic to me. And so Ra's al Ghul is one that I've always been very fond of because of the depth of the kind of the history of the character and how he plays into it. And he's not just crazy and kooky. Okay. We had a super chat from Matt Evans, but there's no question on it. But thank you so much for the super chat. I do appreciate it. Okay. Let me see what I got in here. Things flying past me real quick. People are asking me to review How to Train Your Dragon 3. That's going to be in a week. People keep asking me to rank How to Train Your Dragon movies. That'll be in 2 weeks. But they are coming. Matt Ewan, would you like Avengers Endgame to be 3 hours long? I don't really have an opinion on the matter. Choose this other camera for a little bit. I don't have strong thoughts on the length of the movie. I just want it to be the right length. I want it to be a good movie. I want it to be enjoyable. And if they've got 3 hours of story, that's cool. I can enjoy a 3-hour movie. Some movies I love are 3 hours long. So it's just a matter of, do they have enough story to go that long? And I would assume they do, given the number of characters they have, the number of storylines that they've opened up, and probably the number of characters they're going to kill off or write out of the franchise. So 3 hours, if you're going to have a 3-hour long MCU film, this seems like the one that would make sense to be that long. All right. Someone asked me, do I think that there will be a Thor 4? I don't think so. I don't think we're going to get a Thor 4. If we get another Thor movie or get more Thor, I think they might put Thor in Guardians of the Galaxy. It seemed like they're hinting at some stuff in that direction. That kind of gets me a little bit more excited than Thor 4. I kind of want them to start moving away from these characters that we've had a lot of. Not because I dislike them, but because the Thor franchise is almost 10 years old. Iron Man has been doing this over 10 years. And so at a certain point in time, you start needing to have the new people kind of take over for the longevity of the franchise. And if you don't kill Thor off, then you can still use him in some of these other movies. But, that's just kind of the way, some of this works. Gamer Girl's asking, why aren't you answering mine? Because there's hundreds of questions coming through here. Okie dokie. So I'm trying to answer questions, so the more you kind of repeat questions, the less I can see questions at times. Angelos Bauzo, what is your favorite Planet of the Apes movie? Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. The second one in the new trilogy, that's what I think is the best one of the bunch that we've gotten thus far. The original trilogy, there's 5 in the original one. In the original set of films, the first one is the best. I think it's dated. I mean, it feels like a movie from its time. You watch it and you just notice the special effects and you notice the makeup and things like that. As groundbreaking as they were at the time, it feels like you're watching a 50-year-old movie because you're watching a 50-year-old movie. And so some of it doesn't quite work as well now. Still a great movie. You need to watch it. But as of this moment in time, Dawn, I think, is just kind of on a certain level that I think is very cool. And in the scheme of importance in all of film history, of course, the original one is the top one. But as for my discussion today, I would go with Dawn. All right. Bree Hunter, are you going to do another watch party? Probably. It'll be Avengers. If I do another watch party, it'll be Avengers. And I'll probably try and do it on a Saturday or something like that. Do a little bit earlier so more people can kind of stick through for the whole thing. It's just finding a date to do it. Like, I had it on my schedule to do it this week, to do it Wednesday night, but I'm seeing Alita Wednesday night. And so it's tough to find a date for some of this stuff because watching movies and talking about movies and shooting movies, they all start to compete with one another. Atomic Bat Bomb, opinions on Birds of Prey. Do you mean the 18-year-old TV show or the upcoming movie? As for the upcoming movie, I thought that little teaser they put out looked really bad. It made it look cheap. I don't think that was wise to put out something like that. It looks like a fan film, this little clip that they put out. So I don't think that was wise at all for them to put that out. And, you know, I don't understand the strategy that the DCEU is going for. They just announced that they're working on a Trench movie. Like, they announced that, like, oh yeah, we're like putting together an idea for a Aquaman spinoff called The Trench. We don't have Man of Steel 2 in the works, but we have The Trench in the works. So I think they're making very weird choices. I do not understand where they're coming from. So I can't get excited about Birds of Prey with what I know about it right now in that little clip they put out. Anthony A., Daredevil's red suit or black suit on the TV series. I think they're both great. I wouldn't want to pick. So I think both of them do what they're trying to do very well. Rich Reviews. Are you bullish about Beto running for president? Rich, why are you trying to turn me into a political commentator? You know, if Beto O'Rourke wants to run for president, Beto O'Rourke can run for president. I'm in Texas, so his campaign, Beto O'Rourke ran for Senate here in Texas, and so all his ads and everything. He ran a very strong campaign. There were people knocking on my door all the time, signs everywhere. The guy's got charisma. So if he wants to run, I think there's a lot of people that would resonate with him as a candidate, and a lot of people that, obviously it's politics, a lot of people won't like him if he runs. So, but I don't have any particular strong feelings about if he should do so or not. And even if I had strong feelings, I wouldn't share them on here because I don't want to turn my channel into anything divisive. I want to be the safe place where we can have a shared culture where we talk about movies together, even though we have some differences outside of the world of movies. Oh, sorry about that. All right, here we go. Leonette Mangianan. I'm so sorry if I mispronounced that. Do you think the Terminator movie will be a success? Without seeing the trailer, I don't know. I'm pretty skeptical. The Terminator franchise, it's like, because the first two are so iconic, people hold it in high regard. The last three sequels have not done that well. The last one in particular really kind of tanked in the US, but all of the last three have basically underperformed compared to what they thought that they were going to do because of what the second film did. And none of them have been all that well regarded by the fans. And so it's a franchise that's not in a great place. And James Cameron has kind of burned bridges. He heavily promoted Genesis. And I don't know if they backed a truck up to his house, poured money into all of his swimming pools in the backyard, and he goes swimming in money that they gave him to talk Genesis up. But like, he's kind of used up his leverage in promoting Terminator movies because he did that. So him saying, oh, no, this is the real one. I don't trust you anymore, James Cameron, in regards to talking up a Terminator movie that you're not directing. So I just don't know. Maybe we'll see a trailer and we'll go, that's it. That looks awesome. I'll be there opening weekend. I'm excited for it. I just don't know what's going to happen. All right, Gamer Girl, I'll answer your question. Thoughts on Star Trek Voyager and Deep Space Nine? I don't have strong thoughts on either one of them. I watched both of them when they first debuted back in the 90s. And, I mean, I was there opening first episodes. I never finished Voyager. It was a show that I didn't feel grew any momentum. I don't think it was a strong concept for a Star Trek show. They tried to make it feel like a Star Trek show while doing a concept that was not very Star Trek-y in nature. And so it kind of lost my interest, and I've never had any interest in going back to it. Like, of all the shows, of Star Trek shows, that's the one I'm least likely to rewatch. So it's probably safe to say that's my least favorite of the Star Trek shows would be Voyager. Least interesting cast, kind of everything. It's just least interesting to me. Deep Space Nine, watched through when it originally aired, and from time to time go back and rewatch it. There's some really cool storylines in there, especially with the war and everything like that. So Deep Space Nine I enjoy more. But when it comes to rewatching Star Trek, I really go back to Original Trek and Next Generation. Those are the two that I rewatch by far the most. And probably Next Generation. By far the most is the one that I just kind of put on and watch, and would say is the most consistent, strong show as per my taste. Pretty sure my sister would say Deep Space Nine is the best. All right, we got lots of questions flying through here. Brock Upside, are you going to do a ranking of your Funko Pops? I'm not ranking them, but I'm talking about them tomorrow. There will be a video about them. I'm not going to rank them. I don't have any, I don't know how you rank these two. Point of reference to discuss it. Awesome Cool Glide, what is your favorite MCU soundtrack? Off the top of my head, Captain America First Avenger. That's a really cool, very simple, heroic little theme for Captain America, and that's used very well. Or maybe Avengers 2. Avengers 1 is really cool when used properly. That's off the top of my head. The Thor Ragnarok one, I also love that. The synthy throwback stuff, very cool. That's my answers off the top of my head. I plan to do a ranking this year. At some point in time, I want to rank the scores for the films. Oh, okay. Questions. J1 in with the super chat. Thank you so much. Future movies you think we should have an eye on? I mean, I put out a video with my most anticipated of the year. And so I don't, those were the ones that, like, for me were the most interesting to kind of catch your attention. So, like, of things that you probably don't know about, there's one called Dragged Across Concrete from the guy that did Brawl in Cell Block 99, as well as Bone Tomahawk. So if you kind of like slow burn, very violent films, I would have your eye out for Dragged Across Concrete. But yeah, that's the one in there that was kind of more of a surprise type thing that was on the list that's lesser known. You know, it's tough to say because I could just oh yeah, you should be looking forward to Endgame. Well, I mean, of course, you know that. you subscribe to my channel, you're excited for Endgame. I mean, there's the obvious ones, but it's the lesser known stuff. I don't have it off the top of my head. And it's harder to know some of the lesser things because they don't have the promotion. We don't know kind of what's in the works on some of that stuff sometimes. And I would expect in the coming years, Netflix is going to be something that's going to have they're going to get better at having these little surprise things that really hit us and are actually kind of good. And they're going to be more niche type things. And so that's kind of where I would expect to see kind of more the interesting type things. But off the top of my head, without doing research, it's tough for me to have like a good answer. So sorry if that wasn't a fulfilling answer to your question. Dean Millen, will you ever start Game of Thrones? Well, I've started Game of Thrones. I've actually seen the first 2 seasons of Game of Thrones, but it was spread over like 4 years. I debate very frequently trying to binge watch through Game of Thrones over the next 3 months and then do a ranking after the series finale, whenever that's, it's going to be May or June or something like that. I even earlier today, I was thinking about doing that. I don't know if I will. And some of it's just intentionally on my channel. There's a certain family friendliness. Some of it goes back to my religious belief, core values and stuff. And when you watch the first episode of Game of Thrones and you've got a girl being raped, you've got prostitution, you have incest or 2 instances of incest. It's just not a show that fits really what my channel for the most part is. There's something that you can well, you covered this. I don't know that you can point to a whole lot of things I've covered on my channel that incest, rape, and on-screen incest and rape and things like that, molestation in just the first episode. So that's where a big part of where there's not a big push on my part to like rush through. I know if I put out a ranking of the Game of Thrones seasons, that will be a hit video. That will be a video that will make me money, and be successful and be what people actually want me to do. But because some of my brand also ties back to the family friendliness, I just don't know if it fits. And I don't know if it's a direction that I should go and open up that door. So that's, if you want to know the inner thinkings of my mind and kind of what's driving some of where I'm not rushing out to cover Game of Thrones, that's where it is. I know people want me to. I know it would be successful, but I just, it's the rapiness of the show that makes me go, I don't know about this. Someone asked, have I seen the Bandersnatch, the Black Mirror movie? I haven't watched that one yet. Victor Almont, what do you think of How I Met Your Mother? I think, sorry about that. I think that How I Met Your Mother is a very funny show from what I've watched. I think I've seen 4 seasons of it, and then I've seen the finale. It's a classic example of a good show with a very distinct concept with a terrible finale. Like, totally misreading their show entirely. Like, mind-blowing how poorly they understood their own show with what they did with the finale of that one. But it was really funny. I've gotten kind of tired of that type of comedy where it's the Friends formula of like, group of people in their 20s grow older. One of them is a womanizer, and then some of them are the monogamous ones that get married early. And it's just, at a certain point in time, it just doesn't, I get bored with it. I don't enjoy watching Friends that much. I don't enjoy they're funny. If I watch them, I am amused, but they're just shows that kind of just feel the same to me and kind of doing the same types of stuff. I appreciate kind of the storytelling nature that it's more kind of outside the box on How I Met Your Mother, but, yeah, that's kind of my quick take on it. Young Xbox, have you watched the Scream TV series? I've watched 3 or 4 episodes of it. I never got invested in it. The Scream movies, I love those. That's like my era of slasher films. That was the first 3 of those came out when I was in high school. And so then I tried to check out the TV show, and it just didn't hook me. And because of how busy I am with this channel, I don't have time to watch shows and commit to them if I'm not looking to shoot videos about them, or if they don't just immediately hook me. Like, I watch This Is Us, I watch like MasterChef, and I don't do videos about them, but those are ones that hooked me, that are, family, my wife and I like to watch together. And if a show doesn't immediately hook me, I just can't keep watching it because I have so much other stuff I need to watch. I didn't catch who it was, but someone asked me my favorite Wes Anderson film, The Royal Tenenbaums. Royal Tenenbaums, my favorite of his films. Just the right mix of his quirky humor and like melodrama and real emotions. That's the one that's kind of hit me the most. All right, got a couple super chats in here. Rich Reviews, did you send in a Patreon request for February? I don't know what you're asking me. I'll be on the Patreon live stream in 30, 45 minutes or so. So you can ask your question more clearly. I don't know what you're actually asking me right now. So thank you for the super chat. JL Productions, thoughts on Team America? I've never seen it. I've never seen any of the Trey Parker, Matt Stone films. I actually only watched one episode of South Park. And the one episode of South Park I watched, I thought was one of the funniest things I've ever seen. I just haven't happened to have watched all that much South Park, and I haven't watched Team America, so it's not one that, unfortunately, I can, I don't have any thoughts on it, unfortunately. I wish I did for you. Another super chat from Ross Fayville. Thank you so much for that. Just finishing work in UK. Love the pause poster. Thank you so much. Love the channel, and will you be doing an Alita review? I have mixed feelings with it. So the current plan with what life looks like, I should be seeing Alita on Wednesday, and then hopefully I'll be able to get it shot and edited and have it up late Thursday night for me, late Thursday Central Time. But I'm not even sure about that because I'm seeing Happy Death Day to You on Thursday. So if the timing's able to work out on it, maybe I will have an Alita review out on Thursday. Otherwise, it'll be Friday. is what that will look like. And then Friday I should have a Happy Death Day 2 review. And then the plan for Saturday, my ranking for next Saturday, hopefully, is top 10 worst superhero movies of all time. So I'm pretty excited about that one. It's a nice follow-up to last month's movies, but that's what this week. So tomorrow's Funko Pops, nothing Tuesday. Oh, Tuesday, Final Destination ranking. Since you guys are tuning in for this, I'll give you some inside scoop for what I'm looking at. Tuesday should be Final Destination ranking, and then what I mentioned before. One final super chat before I get back to the main section. Jay Camacho, what is your favorite Western? I am fond of the Clint Eastwood spaghetti Westerns. Clint Eastwood is my Western guy. I'm not a John Wayne. I was about to say John Woo guy. I'm not a John Woo guy. He doesn't do Westerns, though I am a John Woo guy. I love his old stuff with Chow Jet, but not a John Wayne guy so much. And the stuff I've watched, I've enjoyed, but Fistful of Dollars, for a few dollars more, The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, and then not spaghetti, but Clint Eastwood Western, The Unforgiven, kind of his send-off to the genre. Those are my... Clint Eastwood is the Western guy when it comes to my mind. And then more recently, 3:10 to Yuma from James Mangold, Christian Bale, Kurt Russell. The remake came out about 10 years ago. Another solid one. So those are some of my favorite Westerns. Yes. Papiliani, will you rank the James Bond movies? My plan for the James Bond movies is whenever they actually lock in a date for this new movie, out 6 months from when it comes out, or something roughly 6 months-ish, what I'll try to do is each month leading up to it, I'll rank each of the James Bond actors. And I'll probably clump together For Your Majesty, Lazenby with Timothy Dalton or something like that, since they, between the two of them, it's 3 movies. Each month do one ranking of Connery, those 2 guys, Roger Moore, and then do the master ranking after the new movie comes out. That's what I plan on doing. But since who knows when this movie's going to come out, I don't know when it's going to happen. So that's my thoughts on that one. Matt Redimism, sorry about that. Do you watch It's Always Sunny and UFC? That's who varied. Always Sunny and UFC. I've seen a couple episodes of Always Sunny. It didn't stick with me. I kind of enjoyed it enough. I've seen some little bits from things that I thought were really funny, but the actual watching an episode wasn't something that kind of hooked me. I watch UFC always in late though. Some stuff. I don't follow it. I'm not up to date, might be a better way to phrase that. I wish I was. I wish I had people to watch it with and I could keep up with it, but trying to keep up with movies, shooting videos, seeing movies, and TV shows, I can't keep up with any sports at all, despite having interest in doing so. I'm just not able to. So many questions. Trying to read them. Luke, what are your thoughts about the Super Bowl last week and how they disrespected SpongeBob? Well, disrespected SpongeBob. They promoted SpongeBob to 100 million people. So that's not disrespect. They decided to include him. So it's honoring to think, I think that people get excited if we present you in this. That's respectful. That's not disrespectful. So let's appropriately use terms for what they did and did not do. They didn't say SpongeBob sucks, because that would be a very weird thing to do during the Super Bowl. They included a little bit of him and then cut back to Adam playing the guitar. What do I think about the Super Bowl? I decided to have my kids watch this one. We don't normally watch sports, so trying to get them into things and cultured and things like that. So I thought I would describe football to them and show them the Super Bowl, which apparently I chose the most boring football game imaginable to try and teach my kids about football. It was a terrible game. I mean, for all the reasons everyone else has said, low scoring, just nothing of interest happened in the whole thing. And then the end result is the Patriots win again. It's very dull. Nothing about it was interesting to me. Yeah, that's my take on it. People keep asking me about How to Train Your Dragon. It's all coming. I'm going to review it. I'm going to rank them closer to the U.S. release of the films. I'm not going to do it this far out. So many questions. Patrick Hastings, what do you think of Episode 9 of Star Wars? I don't know. I need to see a trailer. I was one of the people that was not crazy about Last Jedi. I did not like the direction they took things and where they went with some characters. Not crazy about it. I'm not full on hate. I'm not like, you betrayed my childhood. They could never. I'm not in that category. But they put themselves in a weird corner. But I also really like J.J. Abrams as a director. I know he has his critics. I think he makes movies that have a very good energy to them. They're like a roller coaster ride. As soon as it gets going, you're just kind of going through this whole thing the whole time until it ends. And I enjoy that. I enjoy the pacing of his films, the nature of them. He does kind of cheap, kind of corny jokes, but they make me laugh. They work well in a theater. So him closing things out, I'm expecting to have a fun movie out of this. With the corner they put themselves into, I have no idea what to expect. I literally have no idea where the story's going to go or anything like that. So that's kind of my little take on it. All right. Miss Chana Andler, Bong. What do you think of Seinfeld? I think that Seinfeld is a fantastic show. After you get past the first season's not so good. And then the rest of it is just really kind of something special. A show that you get lightning in a bottle. How could you can't really plan for what that show was. A certain wit to it, intelligence, that was, I much prefer Seinfeld to Friends. I think Friends is kind of this very safe concept for a show that is just done really well. Whereas Seinfeld's this bonkers idea for a show done in something really special. So that would be my take on it. Vito Toik, do you still watch The Flash? Yeah, I still watch The Flash. I'm all caught up on Flash and Arrow. Both seasons, I think, are better than last seasons. Arrow in particular, I think it's like the best season they've had in 5 years or something like that. I like the prison arc better than what they're doing right now. As for The Flash specifically, I like the Nora plot line. And I think she has a nice dynamic, and it's able to add the tension of the future dangerous stuff coming without all the brooding that they did in season 3 that I didn't think fit very well. I don't think Cicada's very good, and they've used the character horribly. Like when they have an episode where it's like, Barry, stop punching the bad guy. That's mean. And then the bad guy gets away. That's shockingly bad writing for a superhero show when the big lesson for the hero to learn is don't punch bad guys. You're kind of misunderstanding your genre a little bit on that one. When you got a guy who literally what he does is he runs fast and punches people in the face. Someone's asking me to rank the MCU trailers. I get that request a lot. Maybe I need to just buckle down and do it. It feels like a weird ranking to me because trailers work. You have a different perception of a trailer before and after you see a movie. And so it's tough to fairly rank trailers after you've already seen the movie. And they put out so many trailers that it's tough to know which trailer do you do. Because we'll just rank the first trailers. Okay, so like that Endgame trailer that didn't show anything, and other ones they show a bunch of, like, that's where it's really tricky for me to know what I would even do in a ranking for something like that. Best pro plays. Sorry. Are you excited for Venom 2? I am actually excited. I gave a negative review to Venom. I'm normally a pretty easy reviewer, and I gave a negative review to it. I didn't think the story was very good, but it wasn't bad in a way that made me think you can't make a good movie. It was bad in a way that I went, I wish they had a better script, but there's a fun dynamic in here. The action's pretty cool. So if they can get a better story, I could be really on board with this. So as much as I was pretty critical of the first Venom, I'm very much on board for another film. All right. Just try to change things up a little bit. We got a couple super chats in here. Sorry about that. I missed these. Tyler Simmon, favorite Dexter season. All right, that's a fun one. Thank you so much for the super chat. So with Dexter, I'm thinking, the more and more I think about it, I think I actually probably will rank the Dexter season sometime this year. I feel like I have enough to say. That's where sometimes some shows I don't feel the seasons I have an opinion. I have a distinct opinion about the Dexter seasons. My favorite, probably season 4. It's either season 1 or season 4. Both of them are very strong seasons. John Lithgow, the arc that they did, the twist ending to the season, all of it was really cool for season 4. But season 1 is the setup season with Dokes in there and everything was great too. Worst season, the finale is one of the worst series finales I have ever seen. Seasons 6 and 8 were both pretty unwatchable for me, just awful. 7 wasn't too bad. It wasn't great, but it wasn't too bad. I had some enjoyment with 7. I heard some people pretty critical of 5. I never had any. I enjoyed 5. I thought that 5 was a nice, somber follow-up to the 4th season. 2, I was actually pretty disappointed in. It's not awful. It's still kind of when there are a lot of pieces of the show were in place that I really enjoyed. I just did not like the plot line with the girl at all. At all. Or where they kind of take the Dokes character. And 3 was pretty good. Max Bowdle Smith. I'm sorry if I mispronounced that with the super chat. Thank you so much. Hey, Sean, off topic, but what sports do you enjoy? So I don't really follow any sports because I don't have a lot of time to, unfortunately, because I'm so busy. And so, I do fantasy football every year as a way to have something that I do that I don't have to, it's just kind of a fun distraction for me. And I like analytics, but, I don't even necessarily watch them. There's a local hockey team that my wife and I go to the hockey games to see the Texas Stars from time to time. Not as much as we used to, but I wish we could do that more, to get out to the Texas Stars games. And there's actually just about 10 minutes down the road is where there's a baseball, the Dell Diamond, there's baseball games. I need to go to more of those too. But during the spring, they do Friday night games, and after the games, they shoot off fireworks, and we can see the fireworks from our house, which is pretty cool. But I don't follow sports as much as I should. I recorded an interview yesterday that I'll probably share in my community tab, so be paying attention to that. There's a whole section in it talking about my history playing sports, following sports back in the 80s and early 90s with my dad, and how I've kind of haven't paid as much attention to it recently. So there's something that elaborates a little bit on some of that stuff. The Wiggles Tunes, has someone ever said, I recognize you? Yeah, people recognize me all the time because I know a lot of people are like. But as to your question, have I ever been recognized in public as a YouTube person? Yeah, for the first time that actually happened a week and a half ago. Let me pull this up. I'll pull the picture up. I think his name is Louis. I was coming out of the theater and I hear somebody yelling my name. Like, who's yelling my name? What's going on here? And these two guys walk up to me and are you Sean from YouTube? I am Sean from YouTube. And so I'll pull this guy up and show you this real quick. And maybe I'll pull it up. Maybe I can't find it. But yeah, just someone watching my channel and I can't find it. Sorry about that. Oh, maybe. Now Facebook's trying to drive me crazy. So close. Yeah, I can't find it. Sorry about that. I tried. Next question. But yeah, this guy, I talked to him for a little bit, took a picture. It's on my Twitter account. So if you head on over to my Twitter, you can scroll back a couple weeks. You'll see a picture of me with some guy. Gretchen Hamilton, did you play The Sims? I've never played The Sims. So that one is one that I missed out on that particular game. KCW Studios, do you play Mortal Kombat? I don't play Mortal Kombat. I have played Mortal Kombat. So back in the 90s, everyone played Mortal Kombat, and I played it all the time. But as I've gotten older, no, I have not continued to play Mortal Kombat. Zane Hackster, what part of Texas you live in? The Austin area, Round Rock area. I'm in the North Austin suburbs is where I live and watch movies and all of that fun stuff. Mia the Cat, are you going to get Disney Plus? Probably, because there's content on there that I'm going to need to review. And so probably, and I have kids, so I would imagine it would be something that would be heavily used in my home. Vito Toik, do you have Instagram? Yes, I have an Instagram account with pictures on it. If you go to my Instagram, you can find a picture of this guy from a couple weeks back, me with this gentleman. So yes, I have an Instagram account. Ant reacts, do you think Captain Marvel is going to be an Endgame? Yeah. Yeah. I would say there's 110% 10,000% chance that Captain Marvel will be in Endgame. That is going to happen. Mr. Question Mark, what is the worst MCU movie? I've got rankings out there. You can look that one up. I don't want to spoil my rankings, but you can check out exactly what I think about all the MCU films in any number of my rankings on that one. People keep asking me, who do I think should play? My answer on any time they're talking about a superhero character is I want someone obscure. I don't want them to cast Tom Hardy as Wolverine. I don't want them to cast someone that I know who it is. Whether it's James Bond, Superman, Batman. I prefer them to get an up-and-comer that when you find out who it is, you're like, who's that? And you look them up and you're like, oh, they were in this movie in this scene. Oh, yeah, they actually were really good. So you think, like, when they cast Chris Hemsworth as Thor, I was like, Chris Hemsworth, who's that? And I look it up and I go, oh, the guy from the intro to Star Trek 9? Yeah, that guy's really good. That guy was in Star Trek for 5 minutes and he just stole the screen. Like, you're wondering, who's this guy that is able to just, like, suck you in playing a character that's killed off in 10 minutes? And then, he goes on to be Chris Hemsworth. And so those are the people that I want. I don't want it to be someone obvious. I don't want it to be like, whenever you see these lists of like, these are the people that should play this Batman, Superman, whoever, Wolverine, it's always these obvious people that you see everything else that they've done when you cast them. And I don't like that. Oh, we got a super, actually, shoot, we got a bunch of super chats in here that Jail Productions, favorite Call of Duty game. Mine is Black Ops 2. I think I'm all in on the original Call of Duty. That's just too special of a game. That's the one I played the most. I got the best at. The Modern Warfare. Actually, I keep saying Modern Warfare. Modern Warfare is what I mean to keep saying. Modern Warfare 1 and 3 are probably the two that I had the best experiences with, played the most. Some of the other ones felt a little bit more kind of schlocky in the way they did some stuff and the way pieces were put together. And so I just, the ones that just felt the most prestigious to me and most special were Modern Warfare 1 and 3. Max Spoilsmith, hey, Sean, what do you think of Band of Brothers? This is super chat. Thank you so much for the super chat. I've never seen Band of Brothers. People ask me about it all the time, and I've just never seen it. And it's another one of those things where people are like, oh, you got to check it out. And I'm sure I would love it, but it's like one of these ones where it's just such an investment when there's so many other things that I need to watch for the channel and trying to balance everything. And even kind of in here, like, I'd like to watch more sword sports. I'd like to watch more UFC. I need to watch Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I need to catch up on Game of Thrones. I need to watch Walking Dead. And so then Band of Brothers, it just kind of turns into like this thing that was so long ago that I just can't get too excited about it, or I just can't muster up the urgency to watch it. And that tends to be the problem. All right, I'm going to go for about 5 more minutes, and then I got to jump off of this, and I'll actually go live again, actually over onto my Patreon page for my patrons, but got to go about 5 minutes so I can head on over for that. Nico, what do you think of Alita? I haven't seen it. I'm going to see it this week. I'll have a review out later this week. Someone said my favorite director, Steven Spielberg, at least classic Steven Spielberg. 70s, 80s, 90s Steven Spielberg. That's my favorite. Matteo Gantiva, why don't you do bigger collabs? I mean, if someone bigger than me wants to contact me and collaborate with me, I will tell them yes, but I can't call Screen Junkies and be like, hey, have me on your show. Hey, Collider, have me on your show. Hey, Jeremy Johns. I can't force any of these people to collaborate with me. I don't know any of these people. The people I know are all the people that started at the same time as me, so why don't I do that? I'm totally open to, of course, collaborating with bigger people. I just don't know any of them. I have no connections to anybody that's bigger than me. I don't know anyone that's even kind of close to me. My friends that kind of have YouTube channels are like in the 30,000s. And so it's one of those ones like I kind of feel lonely in my place on YouTube because, I started this deal with a group of people and then I've kind of grown to be pretty big, but I don't know anyone who has a channel the same size as me. Like at all. Like not at all. And even of the people that I know, I used to know someone that had a channel that was 80,000 and I've passed them now. So now of all the people I know, my channel is the biggest of all of them. So, and that person isn't someone I don't really communicate with that person anymore. So I can't even talk to them about having a big YouTube channel. But it's not just as simple as like, hey, Chris Stuckman, show up on my channel. Like, I can't do that. I mean, think about it, his channel's 20 times bigger than mine. So there's no particular reason that he would be inclined to even return my phone calls if I had his number somehow. Casey, thoughts on Gotham? I don't... Sorry about that. I don't have strong thoughts on Gotham. It's a little corny. It's a kind of interesting... It's a weird concept, but that kind of makes it interesting. So it's a show that I was caught up until I fell behind this last year. So I'm somewhere in the middle of last season is where I'm at on the show. And it's an example of a show that I couldn't rank the seasons that I've watched, even though there's only 4 of them, because they don't stand out. They're not distinct to me. So I don't have anything to say that's interesting about it. Maybe phrase it that way. But yeah, anyway, if you guys have any connections, if you guys want to like tweet at Schmoes and Collider and all those other people to tell them to collaborate with me, I will encourage you to do that. But I don't have any way to get in contact with them. Bad Wolf, Daredevil TV show, or The Dark Knight. I don't like to compare things so different. I don't see a lot of value in taking a 13 episode season or 3 seasons of 13 episodes, 36 hours of Daredevil, and comparing it to a 2-hour movie. They're just very different things. And I don't think it does justice to either to try and compare it. So I don't do things like that. That's also why I don't incorporate like Daredevil and those characters into my MCU rankings, because they're just different things to me. So I don't have a preference. Ryan Steam, have you seen Silence of the Lambs? Yeah, of course I have. Great movie. Love it. Someone's asking, how do I think that Ant-Man got out of the quantum realm? I don't have any guesses. I don't have a theory as to how he got out of the quantum realm. Since we see him alone there, I have no guesses or anything like that. So, sorry, I don't have a satisfying answer for you. Someone asking what I think is the best Christopher Nolan movie. I've got a ranking up of the Christopher Nolan movies. It's a year and a half old, so it's a little old. But I have one out there. I don't want to spoil it for you, but I've talked about all of his films in that one. It's my old style, so it's like long ones. So many questions. A lot of the questions you guys are asking right now are questions I've answered already, a lot of these ones. Dean Millen, are you looking forward to Dark Phoenix? No. Unfortunately, no. I didn't think the trailer was very good. It just felt like very generic X-Men stuff. The buzz is bad. It's a first-time live-action director, and then it feels like the franchise is running out of steam, so I just can't get excited for it. Okay. Tyler Simon with the super chat. Thank you so much for that. Do you miss serious superhero movies like Raimi's Spider-Man? I don't know how to answer the question because I don't know what you're defining as serious superhero movies. We've had Logan came out 2 years ago. Logan was a pretty serious movie. Endgame ended with a bunch of people dying. Spoiler alert of sort, but there's a warning, so you should be able to know that people are going to die in it. But we have still serious superhero movies, and the Raimi films have their own ways in which they're jokey, corny, hokey, inspired by the Three Stooges. So I'm not sure I understand I don't know what you're defining as serious. We have very serious comic book movies coming out these days, so that would be my quick answer to you. I'll take a couple more questions, and I got to take on out. Someone asked me to rank the Homeland seasons. I'm not caught up on the show. I think I've seen the first 5 or 6 seasons. I don't know how many seasons there are at this point in time. I really liked the first 2 seasons. I thought the 3rd season was awful. The 4th season seemed like a nice return to form. The 5th season was a return to season 3 level of like, what are they doing? If I recall properly, but that's off the top of my head. Gretchen Hamilton, why do people think that Alita will bomb at the box office? They haven't run a very good marketing campaign. They haven't really sold people on what it is or why they should be excited for it. It's like, look, sci-fi action, James Cameron's name. Okay, but what's going to make me excited about this movie? They haven't marketed it very well. And it was supposed to come out in December, and then they pushed it back because it was such a crowded market, and they're releasing it in a different crowded market. So it doesn't seem like it has a lot. There's not good buzz for it. So it's a movie that I think was marketed poorly. They didn't find a good release date for it. So it hasn't cut through to the people. That's why. I don't think it's going to do very good at the box office either. I haven't seen it, so Yasir, have you seen the Rush Hour trilogy? I've seen the first two. It's weird that I haven't seen the third one, but I haven't seen the third one. But yeah, I've seen the first two, and they're both very good kind of buddy cop martial arts movies. I'm a big Jackie Chan fan, or at least I was at the time. So yeah, there you go. Someone asked, why don't you have 1 million subscribers? Well, because it's very difficult to have 1 million subscribers. I only started 2.5 years ago, which is kind of a long time, but to get to 1 million subscribers in under 3 years would be remarkably fast. You talk about these guys like Chris Stuckman and Jeremy Johns, they took them like 5-6 years to get to 1 million subscribers, and that's when it wasn't a crowded market. Now it's a very crowded market. There's already people filling the space of the top tier movie people. To cut through to become successful as a movie person on YouTube, you got to make it through a lot of competition to just get noticed. And it just takes a long time to be able to do so. Like right now, I'm in the top 1% of YouTube subscriber counts. And there's so much more room for me to continue to go. There's so many people so much bigger. But just because there's so many YouTubers out there, if you're at 85,000 subscribers, you're in the top 1%. It's just a little thing to think about how crazy it is of how many people are doing YouTube stuff. Zero S, are you dumb? Pretty dumb. I do a lot of dumb things. I also graduated from college with high honors, so I'm not dumb in other senses. So it depends. Depends on what your definition of dumb is as to whether I am done. All right, I'm going to try and find a nice, great question to end on, and then I got to go and head on over to my Patreon page, and over there I will have a continued discussion over there. Jay Williams, will you do a James Cameron movie ranking with a Little Battle Angel included? No, because he didn't direct it. He also wrote Rambo 2, and I didn't include that one. He also wrote Strange Days. Was it Strange Days that Catherine Bigelow directed? I don't include those in my rankings. When I do James Cameron rankings, or M. Night ranking, it's the ones they directed. So I didn't put Devil in my M. Night ranking either. So no, I would not do that. And it's not going to be of James Cameron quality. Robert Rodriguez has done some great things, but he is not James Cameron. I don't know. There's a bunch of people that keep just naming franchises. Pirates of the Caribbean, Lord of the Rings, Maze Runner. I don't know what you're asking me, so I can't answer your question. Someone asked me to rank the Saw series. I have ranked the Saw series. It's out there. You can Google search it. After whatever the last one came out, I ranked them. I need a good final one. Someone wants me to rank the Friends seasons. I don't think I can. I need to rewatch the whole show, and that's just too much work to kind of roll the dice on how successful it'd be. I watched the whole Parks and Rec series, did a ranking of the seasons, and then it didn't do very well. So I'm now very gun shy about doing things like that. AJ Bloodstream X, what was the story of how you made your channel? If you look at my About page, there should be a channel intro one on there that you can look up that I kind of tell in 2 minutes my story of how I started my channel. The short version is, I'll just close out on this one. Look over here at my second camera to close things out. So the way I started my channel is basically I had been working in church world for 8 years, wanted to start a YouTube channel, but I was always too busy. And I put up some test videos. You can find those if you go look at my oldest videos. There's like Star Trek Into Darkness, Now You See Me, Gotham, The Flash, reviews for that stuff, spread over like 4 years. And it never stuck because I was too busy in church world. And then I found myself resigned from church world without a job and kind of in a bit of a restarting my life kind of phase of like, I don't know what I'm doing now. And on a whim, my wife and I went to go see the new Ghostbusters movie. And afterwards, I didn't have anything better to do. So I was like, oh yeah, I've got that YouTube channel. I guess I'll put some videos on there. So I reviewed Ghostbusters. And then I reviewed Independence Day Resurgence, and just kind of put out some reviews. And I was like, I guess I'll just kind of keep doing this. And then 2-3 weeks into it, I did a ranking of the Star Trek movies, and it kind of took off. And I'd been blogging for like 8 years, and I'd had like 3 things ever kind of take off a little bit. And take off compared to now doesn't mean much of anything. It was like 5,000 views, which is awesome, but a lot of my stuff gets 5,000 views these days. So it gets 5,000 views, and I was like, this is kind of working. I think I'm going to stick with this. And that's kind of what happened. And I mean, a year and a half ago, I started looking for a new job. I got a job shortly after I started this channel too, but kind of underemployed. I've been underemployed technically for over 2 years now, just delivering paint. And so I started looking for another job back in fall of 2017 and was looking to would have had to probably stop this channel, but then things started to pick up enough here that it was filling in the gaps in how much money we were making, and we tried to go out on a leap of faith and stuck with the YouTube channel to see if we could make it. And I mean, currently the plan is I'm going to go full-time on YouTube in about a month. That's the plan. Everything's lined up, insurance, savings. We're just kind of like signing all the final lines and using all the dental benefits of my current job. In March, I should be going full-time on YouTube. So that's the quick story of my channel. I've also recorded an interview yesterday with someone that I'll probably post in my community tab that tells kind of the longer version of what I just told you. There you have it. Thank you guys so much for watching all that fun stuff. I'll be back with another one of these in a week or two. I want to try and I'd like to be doing one live stream per week would be what I'd preferably do. Life is just too difficult. Like even this one, I just kind of threw it up very randomly. But thank you so much for watching, and see you next